Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to this special college edition of Sports Soup. Waking up with me on Saturday morning. We're going to be touching on a little bit of college from last weekend. We're going to touch on some college from the last couple days that's transpired. And we're going to go ahead and look at some of the matchups that are going on later today. So, without further ado, let's dive into the soup. We're going to start off, we're going to double touch on Colorado here. Dion made the decision to start Ryan Staub over Salter this week. They had Houston last night and didn't fare too well. Never really got into that game. That game went down to a final of, what was that, 36-20 last night without any real positive looks out of Ryan Staub. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dion go back to Salters next week, so that's something to look at. Touch on the Oklahoma over Michigan. Everyone called that an upset. I don't think that was that big of an upset. Michigan's offense, just kind of came out flat against Oklahoma. Underwood, 142 yards. Went 9 for 14, no TDs, no picks, just uninspiring, I would say. You think we'd expect a little bit more out of him. At this point, he had Matera on the other side, throw for 270, went for a touchdown, had an interception, but he also had 74 rush yards with 2 TDs to add on to that. So overall, clean up that turnover. Matera, Oklahoma, gets the dub last week, looking good. Arizona State fell in a stunner to Mississippi State, 24-20, and he had Chapin go 19 for 33 with 279 and 3 tutties in that game. And Legway, went for 222, one TD, 1 interception. I thought a little more highly of this Florida team this year. I thought Legway would really come out firing all cylinders, and sorry, I'm jumping ahead to USF falling to the Gators that past week. More so, let me step back to the Arizona Mississippi State game here, because this is Levitt. I really thought that would be big game for him, and all in all, it 82 yards, a TD, 2 interceptions. That's not the Levitt I thought we'd get. All right, and since I was already on it, USF takes down the Gators last week, 18-16. USF's headed into another big matchup this week with another top 25 team. This will be the third in 3 weeks. I don't think they're going to fare as well against Miami, but we'll dive a little bit into that later. And other than that, recapping a little bit from last week before we dive into the few games that happened this week already, both on Thursday night and Friday night. This pretty much the top teams handled business. We saw Clemson down 16-3 at halftime versus Troy. Definitely added more doubt into the minds of people after, they ended up winning 27-16 over Troy. But scary situation, and overall, that offensive line seems to be the problem down there at Clemson. We'll see if they can't get that figured out this week. They're gonna have a tough matchup with Georgia Tech and those Yellow Jackets, but we'll get our game picks for those here coming up in not too long. Last one that I want to talk from last weekend. This was one of my favorite games to watch last weekend, was that double overtime between SMU and Baylor. 48-45, Baylor comes out on top finally. Jennings for SMU, 16 for 22, 295, 3 tutties and a pick. And then he had Harden with 19 rushes for 115 and 3 tutties. Still wasn't enough for SMU because Baylor's quarterback Robertson, did he have himself a game. 34 for 50, 440 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, with 20 yards rushing on top of that. I mean, that's a stellar performance from him over at Baylor, and let's see if he could do it again against another team. I mean, if that's any sign of what he's going to be, you may see him in the transfer portal and come the end of the season going to one of these top tier schools. Well, but that's a name I'm going to like to watch throughout the season here and see where it ends up. And just to recap a little bit of what's already happened here, we had NC State take down Wake 34-24 Thursday night, and I watched a little bit of that game, not all of that game. It's up and down. Should be looking forward to NC State here, probably turning it around and going on a few game run, and they're going to start being talked about a little more out there. Syracuse. That coach made them run sprints after the game last week. It sure didn't happen at the end of this week. They destroyed Colgate 66-24 last night, and Jelly goes 24 for 32, 417, and 5 touchdowns, and he had 21 rushing yards and a rush TD. So looking like that Syracuse team, who was supposed to be taken a little more seriously this year, they woke back up and really bounced back like they were supposed to this week. I mean, granted, you look at the competition in Colgate, it's take it how you want it there. But, I mean, I'd still need to see some more from Syracuse for me to take them seriously, but it seems like they're starting to get their ship a little right regardless of the competition they were up against. And let's just see if we could get that to continue. Already touched on Houston and Colorado, 36-20. Staub has his troubles in there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Coach Prime take it back to Salters next week after that. So, well, we'll see though. See if Coach Prime can't get it figured out at quarterback down there and get these Buffs moving in the right direction again. Also had some action. Arizona 23-17 over K-State last night. Moves them to 3-0. They are a team I'm sure we'll be talking about a little more. Proved a 3-0 last night. We'll see how many more wins they could string together here and sneak into the top 25. And like I figure some stuff out down there, because they're a team who has potential to be good, but they haven't really found a way to break out on offense yet this season. So, but still early in the season, still got 9 games left. We'll see where they hit. Indiana, a lot of people loved the line on the bet because I believe it was about 48, 49 points. Indiana was given up to Indiana State last night, who was undefeated before Indiana rolled over Indiana State 73-70 last night. Fernando Mendoza went 19 for 20, 270 yards and 5 touchdowns in that game. You also had Kobe Martin rush for 109 and 2 touchdowns. And Omar Cooper Jr. at receiver with 11 receptions for 207 and 4 touchdowns. Good game for IU. You know we're coming at you from northern Indiana, so we support our Hoosiers out here. And, yeah, big early week. Get that extra day of rest going into next week, and should kind of be looking forward to that. Alright, now that we got those games recapped, we're just going to jump into a little bit of the previews for today's slate. Coming right at the noon Eastern start. Got Wisconsin and number 19 Alabama. Alabama's a 21-point favorite in that game. I think Bama could take care of business, but I'm not so sure about the point spread on that game. I kind of look at this as a little trap game for Indiana or Wisconsin playing Alabama. Badgers can play people tough up there. They're still a ground and pound team. Good offensive line. 21 points is a lot to me. I would, betting wise, I'd probably bet against the spread there. And going a little further, we got Oregon Northwestern. Oregon's a 28-point favorite. I just like Oregon straight up. You could take the points in that one. I don't think it'll matter. I think Oregon's going to head into Northwestern and take care of business. And that's going to be that. And then we got Central Michigan and Michigan facing off. I expect that offense to be better than they were against Oklahoma last week. I think they just came out flat last week. I think they could play quite a bit better than they did last week versus Oklahoma, but the competition's definitely more set up to where the 27.5 points, I don't know. That still scares me when they could only put up 13 last week against Oklahoma. For them to, win by 4 touchdowns even against the Central Michigan. I'll wait and see. Maybe this is just a major bounce back game. I would still take Michigan on the money line. I'd stay away from the points in this game though. And Oklahoma, just talking about them over Michigan last week. They're headed to Temple, going to see the Owls. I expect them to just have a big game here. Point spread's 23.5. I'd take them for the points. I'd take them straight up. I'll take Oklahoma anyway against Temple here, and that's just that with them this week. Clemson, Georgia Tech. I mean, we got to talk about that offensive line again for Clemson. Klubnik doesn't have the time to get through his progressions. He's forcing the ball out, and just overall, that offense does not look good. So, I mean, Clemson and Georgia Tech, they're giving Clemson 3 on this. I'd be very careful with this game. I don't know what it's going to turn into. Betting-wise, I'm probably just going to keep my hands off this game, period, this week. Because even though inner me thinks Clemson could come out against Georgia Tech and really just, blow the gates off them and lay it on them, did this offensive line figure it out this past week? I mean, if there was a team who should have been running laps and suicides after the game last week, and it shouldn't have been Syracuse, it should have been Clemson, who was down by 13 at the half to Troy last week. Regardless of winning 27-13, or I'm sorry, 27-16, and not giving up any points in the second half, that was still a very abysmal half they played, and for their sake, they hope they don't have another half like that, especially against the competition of Troy, because if that's many other teams in the country and not Troy last week, that's another L in the column for Clemson, and they wouldn't be heading in the right direction. Next game we got, we're going to look at South Alabama and Auburn. That's a 12:45 Eastern kickoff. Auburn's favored by 24.5 against South Alabama. Like it the way it is. Take the points, take the money line. Either way, like that game. Missouri. We got Missouri and the Cajuns facing off at 1 Eastern today. Think Missouri should bag that one up pretty good in and out. It is a 27.5 point line. Not a huge fan of that many points in this game, but especially with the over-under only being 47.5, I would stay away from the points, but I do like Missouri straight up in this game and to win comfortably. Big afternoon shootout. We got 3:30 Eastern today, Georgia, Tennessee. This is a real interesting one for me. Georgia's always going to be down there with that defense. Georgia's always got the defense. Normally got pretty good offensive line as well. So, It's up to Gunner down there. If Gunner could figure it out at quarterback, I think Georgia has a pretty good chance to win. Tennessee, I think this will probably be their first toughest test on defense going up against Georgia. So both sides of this one, I'm not going to call this a coin flip game. I do expect Georgia to win this, but if Georgia's offense is stale at all or comes out flat or turns the ball over, Tennessee could really jump on them and take advantage of them in this game. And I think that's Tennessee's window to win that game against Georgia today. Next up, 3:30 Eastern, we got Penn State, got the Villanova Wildcats coming into town. Just continuing with Penn State's streak of lowly teams that they're playing here early in the season. They should take care of business. I could tell you, I don't know what the point spread is on that, but I'm sure it's around 35 points, and I would say Penn State should take care of business, but they let a team that shouldn't have been in it in the second half when they were only up 10-0. But they did end up making it up into the 30s there and shutting that team out. So I'm expecting them to do pretty much the same thing with Villanova this week. I don't think that'll be much of a game. Nittany Lions should be able to take that one home. Going forward, 4:15 Eastern today, we got Texas and UTEP. Texas is at home, 40.5-point favorite. I think this is another one where Archman just goes and throws it and says, hey, you guys this is who you thought I was here. Let me throw my 5-6 touchdowns. But you're playing a parlay on that game. I'm definitely taking him for an interception because that seems like one thing he's consistently done week to week is throwing an interception. So Texas by a bunch. Take the points. Take them on the money line. All the same. Everyone's little favorite right now. The USF Bulls had to do the Hurricanes. University of Miami. Florida. I like Miami in this game. I really do. They're a 17.5-point favorite. I like the points, but no one's getting off these USF Bulls after, upsetting Florida last week, and they beat another top 25 in week 1, looking for 3 weeks in a row. I would assume that they would really jump in the standings here if they take down Miami. So, but I just don't see it happening. It was a nice run, all that, but give me Miami big today. I just think the luck's going to run out. That's a 4:30 Eastern kickoff, by the way. And then at 7 Eastern tonight, we got Arkansas taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 6.5-point favorite. I like the Razorbacks. Ole Miss has kept a couple games way too close this season, in my opinion. And I haven't seen enough consistency out of them. May be wrong, but give me Arkansas in this one. Upset in Ole Miss. And we got University of Ohio Bobcats versus Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio by 1,000,000. Everyone could talk about how the University of Ohio always MAC champions and all that, but I believe it's been over 100 years since the last time Ohio State lost to another school from the state of Ohio. So with that said, Ohio State by a ton. I'll take the 28.5 points on top of it. We got Western Michigan Broncos facing Illinois Fighting Illini. 27.5 for Illinois. Think that's a lot, but I still think playing 0-2 Western Michigan, the 28 shouldn't be a problem. They'll win this one by 40. Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and South Bend, 7:30 Eastern tonight. This is going to be a tough one. This is going to come down to Jeremiah Love. Texas A&M struggled on run defense last week despite winning. A&M can probably expose a little bit of that Notre Dame defense. But if I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm handing it to Love more than 10 times this game. And I am also going to find him other touches out the backfield, maybe get him involved in the short pass game as well. And I think Notre Dame should be able to take care of business if they follow that formula. If they don't, if they got Carr trying to, fling it all over the field, I don't think that'll work against the Aggie secondary. I also I think you just really run heavy, and then let the run open up the pass, and you're gonna have stuff home because A&M will start stacking that box to stop Love, and that's gonna open up downfield. You got the guys you can take it downfield too. So we got Florida LSU. Give me LSU all day. I don't know why this is only a -7 line. That's at 7:30 Eastern tonight as well. Just seen a lot more out of LSU this year. Legway hasn't looked great, and I had high expectations for him. So until I see something else out of Legway, I mean, I'll be on the opposite side of picking them every week. We got an interesting South Carolina University versus Vanderbilt tonight. SC's only favored by 3. I don't like that. I know that's a bad blood, back and forth, everything like that. Still give me South Carolina, although I expect that to be a good one. I don't even like the -3 on this game. I would stay away from the points. And to cap it all off, 8 Eastern tonight, we got Utah and Wyoming. Utah is -23.5. I expect them to lay it on Wyoming, but this may be a fun first half. But overall, I think Utah comes off with the victory. And with that said, we're going to be joining this college chaos, and this will normally be part of the Friday or Tuesday recording. So with that, there's your soup. We'll see you next time.